We've had a couple of people complaining of technical difficulties. Do attempt to refresh your screen. Everything's still looking good on the back end. And there's our Dark World map check. I saw a green pendant there in Skull Woods. And thanks to our eagle-eyed tracker, I'm also seeing that that is a Pendant Swamp Palace. And just a bottle there in the Hera basement today. And with this blue cane, this Spike Cafe is in fact in Logic. Welcome to it, Spike Cafe, where the drinks are always spiked. $300 is what Spike Cafe holds for us today. Man, the library's raking in the money, the cafe's raking in the money. Everybody in Hyrule is just kicking back with a latte and a good book today. DT is going to show us Hype Cave, see if it lives up to the hype this lovely Friday evening. Ooh, meanwhile, Scopula taking an unfortunate dive in the Moldorm fight. Gonna climb back up for round 2. And Hype Cave being less than hypeful today. When you've already got 800 rupees in your pocket, that extra 20 or 30 is not going to impress you. Scopula defeating the big trolley worm in round 2 as DT heads toward Pod and another crystal. And we're about to see if this is a logically bow-locked pod. It is not. Not that that has any particular implications for our logic today. We did find that bow pretty early in the proceedings. DT opting to go ahead and check Vanilla Big Key Chest here in Pod early, rather than putting it off in hopes of confirming that it's a key for a key situation, which indeed it is. Potential for a small time save if Scopula tries to put that off. But right now, if you're a Scopula fan, the big advantage that he's got is the knowledge of those Titan's mitts hiding on Zora Ledge. If it takes DT a while to get back there, if he winds up making some more time-consuming checks before returning to that area, that might be a chance for Scopula to even this race back up. Scupula going to give us a look at the pyramid ledge, just 50 bucks. And it looks like he's going to go ahead and follow DT into pod. Makes a lot of sense. If you have a fully clearable in-logic crystal dungeon on your radar, it tends to be a pretty safe move. And yeah, as far as execution goes, DT's dash lines are looking clean. His movement is looking very tight. I am not seeing much chance for Scupula to narrow this lead on execution. DT is just not making a whole lot of mistakes today that I've been seeing. DT picking up the pod, big key there in Harmless Hellway, going to continue on into the Dark Maze. And this is about where we start seeing a few fewer keys and a few more items in pod. We'll see if that includes anything exciting. Just $20 and a map. And looks like that was the Sank Heart. Certainly doesn't hurt to have a nice little fill up before going to face down Elmasaur, although with blue mail and a full row of hearts and change, I don't think DT was ever going to have much problem with that fight. And as our runners make their way to Helmasaur, this seems like a good time to remind everybody to give these runners a follow. They're here putting on a great show for you here today. DT heading into his Helmasaur fight about half a dungeon ahead of Scupula at this point. Two Butter Sword slashes to the dome, and let's see what Helmasaur is hiding today. Just a piece of heart, so no exciting progression here in Pod A. But you gotta find that crystal sooner or later. And DT opting to walk out of Pod. Let's see where he goes next. Would be a pretty reasonable move at this point to save and quit out and head towards the Village of Outcasts. But DT's got something else on his mind. It'll also be interesting to see whether that is another opportunity for some divergence when Scupula finishes out that Helma fight. Looks like, at least for the moment, DT just content to retrace Scupula's steps and check the pyramid. And this could be big if DT heads up to Catfish area and mirrors out for another crack at Zora area. He could get that Titan's Mitts knowledge, and indeed, potentially the Titan's Mitts themselves. In answer to a question in chat, those Titan's Mitts, well, logically, they do require the flippers. A splash delete glitch will also give access to them. It's a bit of a tight timing window, but very doable, especially for a runner of DT's caliber. And that's a bottle there on Catfish. DT is not interested, nor is he going to mirror out and take another crack at Zora area here. So he's going to leave that Titan's knowledge for a little later. That is potentially a chance for Scupula to gain an advantage here if he makes that same move up to Catfish after Pod, knowing that the Titans are there. King's Tomb having the Royal Bugnet here today. Nothing super exciting. In combination with the powder and a bottle does give lots of opportunities to refill that bottle with fairies, but considering that DT is confident enough to just leave bottles lying on the ground. And that's a save and quit from Scupula. Not gonna chase after those Titan's Mitts quite yet. Nothing exciting on Bumper Ledge. And it looks like Scupula is going to be hopping ahead of DT in line here. Going to go ahead and head into Village of Outcasts area. So a little bit of convergence from our temporarily separated runners here. Just trash here in C-shaped house. And chat was asking a question about whether a water walk from the fairy fountain can be used to access those Titan's Mitts without the need for that tricky splash delete maneuver. There is a way that can work, but it involves a stored water walk, which typically tends to be more trouble than it is worth. Nothing too exciting here in the Village of Outcasts quite yet. Thinking about what we're going to need here in order to reach go mode. We're going to need that ice rod sooner or later. We're going to need that red cane, and we may need one or more of our 2 missing medallions. And there's the flippers, so no need to worry about tricky splash delete water walk setups anymore. both of our runners are going to have logical access to those Titans mitts. And the flute is the other thing that we'll need. So 40 minutes in, and we're kind of approaching our mid-game. Still minimum 3 items from Go Mode. Potentially 4, potentially even 5. We do not have any intel about which 1 or 2 of our medallions are going to be needed. DT missing the 1 pixel that lets you get make this hellway harmless, I should say. But there's an RNG component to that as well. If it was just skill, we'd all get it every time, right? If it's just a matter of practice. So, yep, the big difference in this race still being that Scupula does have those Titans mitts knowledge. The nice thing about that, if you are a DT fan, is that the Titans mitts lock a lot of the things that could otherwise be real-time syncs looking for the Titans. It is definitely an edge, but without the Titans, you can't do Smith Chain. You can't do a lot of these time-consuming dungeons. I suppose he could get pulled into Desert Palace rather than go back there. That might wind up being a dead end. On the other hand, that could very well be progression at this point. In answer to a question in chat, DT did check... Well, he attempted to check Waterfall Fairy Cave, checked 1 chest, which was that unlucky 4th heart piece that cancels your water walk. So he saved and quit, since he was not able to get that 2nd chest. Very clean scripted blind fight there on DT's side. Not quite as efficient from Scupula, but still not half bad. Gonna get a compass and our 4th crystal of the seed for our troubles. DT is going to head up into Skull Woods. Pretty reasonable play here. It is fully clearable in logic. It is a pendant, but since it is the green pendant, that means that we've got 3 total items to find here. And in another little bit of divergence, Scupula is going to go ahead and skip that for now. May just be checking the bumper ledge item before heading in there as well. And as our intrepid tracker, Professor Pixie, points out, this is also a golden opportunity for a PED check. And since that PED, I believe, is in logic at this point, that would be a very reasonable move to make. If this does wind up being a PED seed, you want to know it sooner rather than later. And as DT heads toward his Moth fight, Scupula, coming out of King's Tomb, has a decision to make. Does he head back left into Skull Woods, or knowing where those Titans mitts are, does he follow the route that way? And yep, it looks like Scupula is, in fact, going to be heading towards those Titans mitts. The Moth goes down between half a bar of magic and the Fire Rod and that beautiful Butter Sword. Didn't stand much of a chance. Yep, so we're still looking for Ice Rod, Red Cane, Flute, and potentially one or both of our missing medallions, all of which could logically be on Ped, so very much remains a possibility. Scupula's going to pick up that bottle that DT spurned when he was in this area earlier. And the Ped dream is dead. Just 10 arrows here today. So far, it looks like DT has not been getting paid out for this Skull Woods play yet, but I've not seen whether he's gotten either of the items, honestly, so trying to keep an eye on things here. And of course, that green pendant could still quite easily wind up being required. There's one item, just 20 bucks. And it looks like Scupula may be heading towards Ice Palace. And the other item, just another heart container. So, if you're a Scupula fan, you're really hoping that he manages to stay away from Skull Woods, and that green pendant does not wind up being required. And it looks like DT's got a new check for us. It's the Magic Bat. First chest of Ice Palace, just a key. And just a bloomerang there on the bat. And with no red cane, Scupula's gonna go ahead and take the IPBJ route here in Ice Palace. That could be another nice little time save if DT is able to, by virtue of not having the Titans, put this off until he finds that red cane. And I believe this is our first look at Dig Game here on DT's side. Bunch of nothing. Meanwhile, Scupula is setting up his IPBJ, one of the tougher bomb jumps in the game, but also, at least back when I was learning it, one of the first ones that a lot of us learn, because it lets you skip so much of this dungeon, which can be real aggravating. Scupula does get that IPBJ off. Nothing in Cave 45 here today on DT's side. But Stumpy does have the Quake Medallion, and entirely possible that that winds up being required, considering that Mire and Turtle Rock are two of our crystal dungeons here today. And it looks like DT is going to give us a look into Pendant Swamp. So definitely spending some time on some Pendant Dungeon plays that, if Scupula is lucky, he will never have to make. On the other hand, still plenty of items that we're looking for. And Swamp Palace is a very check-dense location, so it might easily wind up being required regardless. That's a bottle on Scupula's side, helpfully preloaded with a blue goo. Just a big 20 for DT. And DT showing us a fairly new piece of tech, one that I have not learned myself quite yet. I've been out of the competitive racing circuit for a while, called Specky Clip. Does allow you to get into Swamp Palace with no hammer. Also saves you a key, which can be a nice little routing time save. And as Professor Pixie helpfully points out, Specky Clip is of... it is legal in this tournament. With the dissolution of the Racing Council, it's very much a venue-by-venue decision on any given tournament or platform such as Ladder, whether Specky Clip is allowed or not. So before using it, always make sure to double-check that it is legal in the racing format that you are currently racing. My understanding is that it is also legal in the Ladder, for what that's worth. Scupula going to go ahead and drop into Cold Stare fight as DT, he knows he's in here items, so he's going to go ahead and do left side swamp. Cold Stare manages to escape his corner, but Scupula cleans him up quite nicely. Gonna get 50 bucks and a crystal for his trouble. Meanwhile, DT picking up our, I believe, last fetch quest item. That's the mushroom. And Scupula going to show us what the man under the bridge is holding as DT moves into the back of Swamp Palace. And nothing much on Hobo today. Chat bringing up a good point, which is that mushroom is one of, in fact, maybe the only item that DT could find that might push him back towards Zora area and those Titans mitts. Meanwhile, Scupula, rather, heading into the village area. Gonna go ahead and check Bottle Boy. And we'll see where he goes from here. Could very reasonably decide to go up and do Skull Woods, which we know is unlikely to pay out. Could also opt to do Smith Chain, and if that winds up being the answer... Oh, Scoop, forgetting that he had Titan's Mitts for a second there. It's okay, he remembered. And that's the Red Cane there on Argus. So DT getting paid out for that Swamp Palace play. Scupula is going to need to make his way there sooner or later, and that also means that DT will be able to Icebreaker and take care of Ice Palace just that little bit more. But of course, before he is able to do that, DT will need to find those Titan's Mitts safely ensconced on Zora Ledge. DT opting to be thorough here, gonna get back inside and go for that big chest. Just a Pizza Heart today. And we're about to see a mushroom turn in from DT. That was the other thing that he found there in Swamp Palace. Yeah, if he opts to Zora from here, and world is his oyster. Just bombs, so that mushroom's not going to pay out. DT seems determined to avoid Zora area, having already been there twice. Not eager for a third go-round. Looks like we're going to see Desert Tablet and then potentially a Desert Palace play. Nothing much on Desert Tablet. Meanwhile, Scupula heading towards the back of Skull Woods, gonna do his Moth fight. We know he's not gonna find anything good on Moth proper. Still haven't seen that green pendant turn in yet, so could still wind up being required. The Moth goes down nice and quick on Scupula's side. That can be a pretty RNG-dependent fight, but RNG was on Scupula's side today. Scupula's going to go ahead and get the bad news about Ped there, or the good news, depending on how you feel about Ped seeds. I do tend to like them better as a viewer than a runner. In answer to chat, we have not seen Dark Death Mountain so far. Only Scupula has the option. DT still needs to find those Titans on Zora Ledge before he can make it there. I wasn't counting items there in, in Desert, but DT doesn't seem to think that land mows are necessary. Okay, chat letting me know that DT did in fact see both items there in Desert. Thank you, chat. Looks like Scopula might be making the Smith chain play here. He's going to go ahead and check out the dig game first. Meanwhile, DT is going to get a big bunch of disappointment from the man under the bridge. Will he make his way back to the Zora area for the third time after this? And nothing much on hammer pegs. And now DT sees the news, but he still gets to make the long trek around, stopping by to pay the scamfish his due. The dwarves not paying out today, but Scopula will presumably pick up that Quake medallion on his way down to turn in purple chest. And it looks like DT is going to head into Ice Palace, going to be able to clear this just a little bit more efficiently, using that red cane to icebreaker and bypass the Ice Palace bomb jump. Meanwhile, Scopula showing off some fun purple chest movement strats. Getting in those cheeky little dashes where he can. It's always nice to see. And Scoop also showing us the invisible chest glitch here. If you leave the purple chest in the dark world, as long as you mirror on the same screen as the Desert Thief, he's going to open it as though it were right there next to you. All right, going to be a new check here on Scoop's side, and it's the Ice Rod. Very nice find there for Scoop, with DT already having done Cave 45 and Stumpy. That's the rest of Smith Chain is another set of items, and he's already also done Magic Bat for that matter. So just that little bit less item density to pull him in that direction. That could be pretty rough if he winds up going into Turtle Rock without that ice rod, rather. And it looks like we're about to see a green pendant turn in from Scoop. Just 20 bucks. And it looks like we're about to see Dark Death Mountain here from Scoop. This will be a bunch of new checks. Including some new information, which will be what is the medallion that will grant us entrance to Turtle Rock. Very, very clean cold stare fight. Just getting him right in the corner and not letting him go. Meanwhile, Scoop finding the half magic there in Super Bunny Cave. Nice to have, but it's really that flute that's the big question mark in all our minds right now. And that is a Quake entrance requirement to Turtle Rock. And it looks like DT is heading up the mountain too. This is virtually certain to lead to a time-consuming Turtle Rock play. I say virtually because the runners are going to do what they're going to do. But it's a rough ask to climb all that way and then go all the way back down to check Purple Chest. Oh, and I had neglected to notice that Scoop had left behind the item in Hera Basement when he was here before. So that was a little time save that he had over DT that he's about to give back. But hard to blame him if this wound up being flute or required ether or that red cane, and you leave it behind now, you've put yourself in a pretty rough spot. Yep, and it's what the DT fans in the audience have been dreading. It looks like he is beelining Turtle Rock. And in a worst-case scenario, he finds Flute someplace like Laser Bridge and winds up full clearing a Godmire that Scupula's able to go mode. And speaking of Scupula, it looks like he has decided that that item-dense Swamp Palace is the place he needs to go. And we have seen on DT's side that he is absolutely right. That's where he's going to find his red cane on Argus. 2 small keys in roller room. DT's going to check compass room and then move on with the dungeon. Just a map there. Looks like the goodies are going to be hiding a little deeper in there. Should there be any goodies to find? Ooh, and that's rough. That's rough a little, getting bodied by the red Stalfos sends DT back down the railroad tracks. Scupula showing off a slightly different Spec Eclipse setup than DT used, but gonna go ahead and get it first try. Well done. Chat asking, other than Turtle Rock, what haven't we seen yet? And the answer is not a whole lot at this point. In fact, I'm trying to think of any other place that flute could be hiding. From DT's perspective, it was pretty much this or the green pendant turn in, but we know from Scupula's side that green pendant is not going to pay out today. We have seen Spike Cave. That didn't wind up being anything. And we've seen both tablets and the mirror checks, Cave 45 and Graveyard Ledge. And that's the red mail there in Mimic Cave. Given the general disdain DT has shown for safety items, I'm guessing that's not what he was hoping to see in there. Sadly, the pet dream is dead. It's been in logic for a minute, but both of our runners now have the knowledge that it is not going to hold the answer. That's a cape there in Crystal Roller Room. Once again, Turtle Rock holding all those nice little safety items that are probably not going to be too impactful at this point. But we're about to Caesar Bridge here on DT's side. We got some money, and yep, there's the flute. So unless Ether is hiding someplace that has entirely escaped my brain, that puts us in functionally in no mode. Scupula is about to get the good news that his red cane is hiding right here behind Argus. And DT turning in his flute. Meyer area's got to be calling his name. Once again, it is an almost certainly completable crystal. He's hoping that the ice rod is hiding there and that double dip was required. Unfortunately, that is not what he is going to find there. And that is Quake as the entrance requirement to Meyer. So no need to worry about that Ether Medallion. Not too many places it could be, in any case, that aren't right here or else in Checkerboard. It's another bottle there in the Meyer shed. Scupula heading towards his Turtle Rock play, but with that Ice Rod from the purple chest in hand, he's going to be able to complete this in one go. Then find his flute and go mode Meyer. And if you're a DT fan, you are hoping not to see a God Meyer here, because DT is going to have to full clear, hoping that this holds his Ice Rod. Narrowly missing that one cycle Meyer 2 there. DT has not yet done the green pendant turn in. I think that's about all he has in front of them other than Smith Chain. And there's the big key in the button chest of my... And looks like DT was hoping to be able to skip the left side of Meyer, but nothing doing. He's going to have to turn back around if he wants to find all the items in here. And it looks like that second item is going to be in either the cutscene chest or on the boss, so that's another little time sink that DT is going to be putting into this dungeon. Not quite a Godmire, but Scupula is going to be able to complete it without spending the time on this cutscene chest. And at this point, DT has gotten the bad news. That's the 2 Meyer items. So he's going to know that, unfortunately, it's going to be a near last location go mode ice rod for DT today. Meanwhile, Scopula heading through the dark maze on his way to the laser bridge where he's going to find his go mode flute. In answer to chat, Ice Rod is in the purple chest today. We had Titan's Bits on Zora Ledge today, which Scopula found that knowledge fairly early, and DT just seemed determined to avoid. That led Scoop into a Smith chain play that paid out in that Ice Rod. And it looks like DT is, in fact, going to go ahead and play the numbers. He's going to do the Smith chain play. It's this or the green pendant turn-in for him, and he's going to play the odds and get paid out for doing so. Scoop having just a little bit of trouble with his Trinex fight there. Trinex managed to get some ice floor out, but with Butter Sword and half magic, the ultimate outcome was never much in doubt. Trinex does, in fact, go down, and Scoop is about to collect crystal number 6. Scoop saving and quitting. He's gonna go ahead and turn in that flute that he found on Laser Bridge. Just a little cleanup left to go before he can begin the search for the GT Big Key. DT using that very same flute to head to the Desert Thief to pick up his Ice Rod and make the Walk of Shame back up the mountain to Turtle Rock. And yep, getting off some frustration swings there. Hard to blame him. I do believe that is last location -1. The only thing he managed to avoid was the green pendant turn-in. So we'll see how things stack up when our runners grab the respective crystals, but this is going to be a pretty close race going into GT. Scoop is entering his final dungeon just a little bit before DT, but he also does have to climb back up that mountain, whereas DT will be able to make the easy dash through the Lionels right from Turtle Rock to GT. Now, Meyer, of course, is going to be a slightly quicker dungeon. just because Scoop is going to be able to go mode it. And go mode Meyer with this key layout. It's not quite as fast as it can be, but it's not half bad either. Yes, the Meyer big key is in fact in the lobby/button chest, however you want to call it. Scoop going to go ahead and beeline that lobby chest, not going to bother with any of the left side stuff, and he's going to get paid out for it. And it looks like DT is going to get to his respective boss fight first. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable calling this advantage GT for the moment. Advantage DT even going to GT. Doing those ever so impressive behind-the-back Trinex strats. Making short work of that three-headed dinosaur worm. DT is going to be ahead by a boss fight and a mountain climb going into GT. I see a bunch of numbers popping up in chat. As far as I know, there are no bots keeping track of them, but you can still get your bets in for honor and glory. Where is that elusive GT big key hiding? $1:29:13 is the time that DT is entering that dungeon. No hope in Hope Room. Bob lives to bob another day. That would, in fact, be lucky number 7, if I am counting correctly. There in the Stalfos room. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. DT is going to be beginning his mountain climb. Gauntlet climb, tower climb. He's going to be climbing all kinds of things. If Scoop manages to head left first, bypassing Hope Room, he'll be able to pick up a little bit of time, but DT still has a fairly nice lead going into this endgame here. Scoopula entering at 131 even, so about a minute 45 separating these runners. And with Gold Sword, virtually identical loadouts for both runners, that's going to be, the way DT's been executing today, that's going to be a tough amount of time for Scoopula to make up. And, yep, as Chad is pointing out, the silver arrows were, in fact, on the lumberjack spot. That's knowledge that both of our runners have, so neither one are going to be going out of their way trying to do any checks going up the mountain here. There's not much left in the item pool to help them out. DT heading through a very clean Landmo 2 as Scoop picks up his own GT Big Key and is beginning to head up the gauntlet his own self. DT just flying through the gauntlet, making virtually no mistakes for Scoop to try to capitalize on. No need to mess with the mini Helmosaurs, no need to open chests. It's a straight line as the crow flies between DT and his Moldorm 2. Moldorm goes down quite handily. No time for meme checks. We've got a geometry wizard to fight. We're about to have dueling boss fights as we see Aga 2 on the right, Landmo 2 on the left. A nice little double to open up the festivities. And that's the legendary double-double. Who wants In-N-Out Burger? Triple-double not in the cards. It's going to be one more cycle, and Aga 2 goes down. Scoopula continuing his gauntlet climb. Has not been doing half bad, but he has also not been doing better than DT did to make up any time. Scoop would need DT to make a mistake at this point, and that's something that DT has shown a remarkable reluctance to do. Butter Sword making that 1-and-1 nearly free. Cape Strats just keeping the train a-rolling. Teleport RNG is in fact seeded. So not that it would give him any particular advantage anyway, but it... I was about to say it's been very favorable. But Ganon was just saving all of them for this last one. Okay, there we go. DT getting the torch glitch without even wasting much magic spamming lamp. Of course, with half magic and gold sword, he doesn't have to worry too much. Looks like Scoop has just finished up his Aga fight. I believe in the same number of cycles. But unless DT takes an unlucky spill here, I don't think it's going to matter. Get your GGs in chat. DT would have to be trying to take a fall now. And he does, in fact, cross the finish line. With an official race time of 1 hour, 36 minutes, 56 seconds. In the name of DT is our winner here today. And we're going to hope to get our winner in here for an interview shortly, but in the meantime, we're going to watch Scopula deal with all of the fun last-minute troll reports from our big trolly blue pig. Did we find the arrows in the light world, Ganon? Well, yes. Did we collect them? No. Scoop missing the torch glitch there, but I believe he still has at least one magic refill in his back pocket, even should things go really bad. With his half magic, that means it's not much of an issue. And the pig goes down for a second time this evening. Get your GGs in chat for our runner-up, Scopula. Crossing the threshold with an official racetime.gg time of 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 22 seconds. Just messaging our runners, see if we can entice them in here for an interview. Scoop zip-zapping through those credits to show off his collection rate of 160 out of 216. And it looks like we will be joined by our runners momentarily. I see we've got Scopula sitting in the green room. You may join us when ready. Welcome and GG to our runner-up, Scopula. How do you feel?
Well, I did more than I should have, clearly, but I think I ran okay, other than I made a few of those things that if anybody was here yesterday watching me, I was talking about starting to walk the wrong direction. Yeah, well, But I guess I made it to Ganon, so there's that. I guess the torch glitch didn't matter. So hey, positives.
Certainly. Yeah, the big difference maker for most of the race was that you had that knowledge of Titan's mitts that DT seemed determined to avoid Zora area for the longest time.
Yeah, I thought about it. Hoping to get a mirror and wait. You know, I forget now, but I did think about it. I forget why, but I wanted to wrap it all together. But then I saw the mitts, and I'm like, well, now I got to decide if I'm going to double water walk or wait, and Flipper showed up eventually, so. And a mirror.
Yep, yeah, the waiting for Flippers wound up paying out just fine. Also paid out in an earlier ice rod for you. DT did wind up having to double dip Turtle Rock, unfortunately for him, but wound up making it up ultimately.
See, now I wondered about that too, because I'm thinking Ice Rod and Quake are in the same set of checks, were they not? Or is it just something because it was missing a piece of the...
As I recall, DT got the Quake from Stumpy a little earlier before, since he got the Titan's mitts nearly a last location. He wound up getting separate from Smith Chain.
All right. Yeah, I mean, being honest, everything I did, I figured I'd be losing 10 minutes ago, but, you know, some of that stuff probably explained it.
Looks like we're having trouble getting DT an invite. Give me just a second, see if I can't get him in here with us.
Yeah. Josh is telling me invites don't work anymore. They do, and I found them, so I got them.
Yeah, I tried to send him one manually here, so hopefully he'll... Oh, and there he is. Welcome in the name of in the name of GG, in the name of DT, GG for your victory in GT. Welcome.
Is that a late entry to the tournament? That's a new username there.
Yeah, there
GG.
we go.
In the name of GG, amen. I don't know. But yeah, GG.
Hey, you as well.
Well, I didn't hear everything I said, but personally, I was hoping mushroom was something. Yeah, I was hoping mushroom was a thing that was left side. Probably you didn't do it.
I was hoping mushroom was a thing. I was hoping green pendant was a thing. I was hoping catfish was a thing. I was hoping all the things were things that weren't things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sounds like, well, now that I am looking, we did quite a bit. I still have the heart piece thing that I think they know about, but look, it says 10 and 10, and you have 2 and I don't, and I don't think we even have 10, to be honest, but everything else looks pretty darn even. You go in the desert?
Identical.
You didn't go in the desert, did you?
I did. Yeah, I got both items out of there and bailed.
So you're just faster, which I kind of expect.
I doubled the Turtle Rock, though.
Yeah, I heard that. I
Yeah.
did not do that. So, you know, again, I did Hair Basement.
Same.
Yeah. So, I mean,
this just felt like it dragged on and on and on. Like, I don't know I don't know how you routed your Dark World, but like I started at Pod and I went what felt like an absolute eternity before finding anything, and then it was just flippers, and it's like, great, this just opens a pendant. This doesn't even do anything.
All right. Last idea I have. How many mischecks did you skip?
Oh, I don't know. I don't count that stuff.
Because Ben here said you were late to him, and that was something else that, you know, and I told him I wanted to put him off because if you can do late mitts, you will save yourself some time. But I ended up getting flippers near the northern route, so I just said, okay, better go get him.
Yeah, I was a little bummed. I got the heart piece out of the waterfall cave and lost my water walk, and without Moon Pearl, honestly, I I wasn't sure if I could leave and come back in. I don't think you can. So I just saved and quit out of there. And
Well, go back and watch what I did.
I didn't have the MITS knowledge for a long time. It was basically a last location on the MITS.
Yeah, I mean, I might look at it back, but I have seen more than I have fingers and toes times to see where late mitts or hammer or something ends up saving time in the end. We see it in SMZ3 and we see it here. So, you know, that's a rando thing, but same with the heart piece. I was like, you stupid. And then I like walked out knowing that I didn't have a moon pearl. And I don't know where my brain ever is when I do this stuff. This is common. I did the bomb and arrow to get back in there for some reason. I don't know what I was thinking.
It was good to find that second bow so early, though.
Yeah, I saw it, and as I said, okay, we're silverless right away.
Yeah. I was thinking there's always the chance that maybe that's the first intended bow and maybe the only bow we'll have access to, so I was just glad to be able to rule that out.
Yeah, so... yeah, I don't know. Got some extra items, looks like, but... I mean, I walked away from a few, so it could be some of that. How's your GT? Probably pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, I felt enormously behind for most of this seed, so I honestly thought about going Stalfos room first, but went Hope into Stalfos, so I mean, it was as quick as a GT was going to be with that big key there, so...
Yeah, I realized that right after I said it, but yeah, you're right. You kind of cleared a place out. Did you do ice with a cane or not? How about that?
I did have... I did have cane, because I did Swamp without mitts.
Okay. So maybe that has something to do with it too. I did that last.
I mean, we're talking the difference of a Ganon fight here. There's about a million things that could have swayed this either way.
Oh, I know. I just taking the opportunity to
Yeah, it's fun to analyze.
check with you here,
But hey, how about that? A difference of a final boss fight for a bracket race. That's like everything that a tournament wants, right?
yeah, I just, you know, after our snafu yesterday, I called a race with less than a second of a gap, so I'm like, well, this is about an eternity. I know. Typically, yeah, that's pretty good. I like I said, I said to Ben, I was expecting to have like been done before I get into GT, because I guess I felt the same way you did with everything.
Yeah, this one just did not feel good at all.
Okay,
A big thanks to both of you for putting on a great show for us tonight. Any last words for the folks at home before we wrap things up?
Thanks for commentating, Ben. I'm sure it was wonderful. Looking forward to watching it back. So GG to you as well.
yeah, thank you, Ben. Thank you, Professor Pixie. Thank you, whoever ended up doing setup. I don't know. I normally would find out. But...
Yes, indeed. Big thanks to our tracker, Professor Pixie, and to the kindly volunteers who helped both of us being slightly rusty at this to remember which buttons to hit. And thank you to everybody at home. If you're looking for more to watch, it looks like we do have a race tomorrow that's set up for restream at 1 p.m. Eastern. Let me just pull it up here. 1 p.m. Eastern time between Alana Bean and, I'm probably going to butcher this, looks like Pitloven? But hopefully we can get a crew together to get that streamed out to you. It's currently scheduled to be on SpeedGaming Prime, so tune in. And with a big thanks to my silent co-commentator, oh wait, it was just me, and everybody behind the scenes at SpeedGaming. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful evening.